Hello! I'm really excited about this video today, all about avoiding the pitfalls of perfectionism while being super productive. A lot of people don't know this about me, is that I'm not a perfectionist. My friends know now, but people think I am a perfectionist because, I'm a life biz organizer, everything looks perfect on my Instagram, but really I'm not a perfectionist, other than my closet. But really, I do things fast, efficiently, and I hire for when the details need to be really looked at. So in this video, I'm going to show you a few quick ways you can overcome that perfectionism mindset to get more done and get your message and be more impactful. Also, if you watch till the end, I'm going to be giving you an exclusive resource that will also help perfectionists because it'll make things a little bit more efficient. I'm so glad you landed on this channel. For the best organizing and decluttering advice, mostly centered around organizing your business, please hit the bell below to be notified when I post a new video every Tuesday. Productive without being perfect? Is it possible? Yes, it is, and I want to show you how. I'm Jane Stoller, I'm a life biz organizer, and for the past decade I've been helping people and businesses get more organized, mostly with systems and processes that fit their lifestyle and their business goals. I've written 2 lifestyle organizing books, and I have a proven 6-step method that I teach in my Business Booster course that works with entrepreneurs to help them organize their business like a boss. I'm going to go through these 10 tips fairly fast, but you can always rewind if you want to hear them again to make sure that you're getting the proper gist of them. Number 1, acknowledge. The first step to letting go of perfectionism is to acknowledge that you're doing it in the first place. Like anything else, to acknowledge you're a clutter bag or whatever it is, just acknowledge it. Make it known to the world and admit it. Number 2, face the worst case scenario. I always do this when I'm being overly perfectionist about something, even though I'm not a perfectionist, but we all are in some cases. Really think about what's the worst thing that could happen. When I'm putting an Instagram post out and perhaps I've been struggling with it for a long time, what's the worst thing that can happen? I go in and edit it 2 minutes later. I delete it. Someone comments on it that something's wrong, or then I acknowledge that, and the worst case isn't really that bad. But really look at that in terms of worst case. Number 3, identify the standards needed for the project or whatever you're working on, and perhaps even adjust those standards if needed. Perhaps they're overly, too perfectionist in some area, but you can adjust it to save you time, make it more efficient, and still get the job done. Number 4 is a really big one. I think you should break down the job of what you're doing because that helps you. If you see it in smaller bits, it's not so overwhelming, and then your perfectionism doesn't come in and you procrastinate the whole thing because it's too overwhelming. When you break things up into smaller bits with any project you do or whatever it may be, even content planning, break it up so you're not so overwhelmed and you can hit those small wins a bit easier. I'm curious to know what you're really a perfectionist about. For myself, it is my closet. For you, it might be, whatever, your outfit of the day, or it could be something else you're working on. Maybe you're an engineer and that's the way you're built. You're super detail oriented. But I'm really curious to know what you're super perfectionist about. All right, here we are with number 5. Give yourself a reason to move on. So perhaps you have to be done at 5 p.m. because you have to pick up your kids. If that's the case, you have to move on from the task you're doing and you can't overly perfect it. Whatever it is, give yourself something to move on and just let it be. Number 6, do experiments. Experiment what people notice when you do something that perhaps isn't quite as perfect or you didn't spend as much time on. Do people really notice? If they do, maybe it is something you need to perfect, I should say, or maybe no one even notices. Number 7, do a reality check. Is there enough hours in the day for you to do all of your perfectionist things? Or is it simply impossible? What is reality telling you? Number 8, show your weaknesses. I am very open that I am not a perfectionist, especially with copy editing, spelling, grammar. I do things fast. I have ideas. I like to get them out into the world. I like to make an impact and help people. But then I acknowledge that my weakness is not being a perfectionist on grammar and spelling, so I outsource that. This is number 9, which is celebrating your mistakes. Similar to your weaknesses, I celebrate that I'm not a perfectionist in those cases. And I love it because now I can hire a great team of people to help me who are good at that. So for me, it's celebrating it. If I do make a mistake on that, I admit it, I laugh about it. I say, you know what? I hope you still got the gist of my advice and it's not the end of the world. Number 10, hire for your weaknesses and celebrate your strengths. This is all about going back to the last 3 points of outsourcing where perhaps you're not so good at things and really utilizing your strengths that make an impact and being focused on them more. So this video was not about doing things, half-baked or half-done. You want things to show up in a good manner, but you also want to make sure you're being realistic and that you hire out for the things that perhaps you're not perfect at. And progress, I always say, is better than perfection. This was a quote I've heard many times, most recently by serial entrepreneur Michelle Romanow, who's a Canadian, and she promotes this all the time. Getting things done over being perfect, because perfect does take time and sometimes it'll never happen. As a thank you for watching, I want to give you my number 1 resource for digitizing your receipts. I talk about this all the time because I think it's super important for anybody, entrepreneur or not, but you have to have your receipts organized in a timely and efficient way. So go ahead, download the guide. This app or these apps will change your life in terms of tax season and just your receipts and the stress. It doesn't have to be perfect, your receipts, but at least you'll have a system and an app to make it more efficient. Thank you again for watching. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it and subscribing. And I'll see you next Tuesday.